Well, hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I'm here, Taylor Hill with Spark Marketer. I'm going to be your host today as we talk about some really interesting things, continuing on with social media. We're going to talk today about creating engaging social media content. Now, things in social media have really changed. So just today, I thought it was really interesting. It came across today. There was an article that they've done some studies. And do y'all know that any kind of posts, and they studied both Facebook and Twitter, that has links back to your website since 2020 up until now, on Facebook, there are 80% less click-throughs from a post on Facebook through to your website and 60% less click-throughs on Twitter, or X, they call it now. So we're going to dive into this because this is a really interesting phenomena. And hey, Chuck, thanks for the love. Really appreciate it. This is a really interesting phenomena, and it really also is going to lend into some of the things we're going to talk about creating engaging social media content. So this is in my world, one of those things that's kind of an aha. We kind of thought this was happening, but this really kind of solidified it today for me. So we're just going to jump in. So the first thing, one of the things we've been talking to is know your audience, establish where your audience is, all those kinds of things. But here's the deal. When you're creating content, you have to understand who your audience is, and you have to understand your audience. I may know that my audience is teenagers, but I'm 66 years old, and I can guarantee you I've got a granddaughter I do not understand. I don't get it. So I am not a good person to create content for that age group. All right. And I see a lot of times what people do is they hire really young people because they understand social media, but they may not understand the audience. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't hire those people, but they need to have an understanding of who the audience is so that they can create appropriate content. So hopefully that makes sense. One of the big things about that, and I think it's really true with whatever demographic your audience is in, you need to have the person doing social that really has a great understanding of who that audience is, what kind of motivates that audience, what are the things that audience is interested in, so they really have an understanding of the audience itself. So the other thing that I think is really something that we need to know, and it's very easy to do these days, is have really high quality visuals. With today's phone cameras, you should never have anything but high quality visuals. I mean, those phones take pictures in 4K. It is as good, if not better, than a 35 millimeter camera that I trained on and grew up with taking pictures. So, having really high quality photos, high quality videos is easier than it's ever been. You do not have to go out and hire, a studio quality, broadcast quality company in order to get really good high quality visuals. And I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to go to the next one because to me, this one and the next one really go hand in hand. And this is what I want to talk about. And I'm going to spend a little time here. Is telling stories. I think we think too many times that what social media is about is just posting a picture, posting, what you're doing, posting this, posting that. And it's just a post. It's kind of a frame of a story, if you will. But you need to tell the story. And you can tell stories in pictures. You can tell stories in print. You can tell stories in videos. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to tell stories. Um, if I told you the cat ate a mouse, that's a story. My cat ate a mouse. Now, it may be a short story, but at least you know what happened. But if I show you a picture of a cat and a picture of a mouse, and my third picture is uh-oh, and all I got is a mouse or a cat with a mouse's tail out their mouth, that told that story in pictures. So we need to start being a little bit more creative in our storytelling. Uh, there's just so much that you can do with pictures, with video these days. And people are trained right now, mainly because of TikTok, to do these really, really short vignettes, short videos. People's brains, especially the younger the kids are, they're showing that they literally get bored if it's over 30 seconds. I mean, think about that. I mean, isn't that crazy? And yet, when I'm out at visiting my kids and my grandkids are there, I'm always amazed because when there's something on the TV, almost everybody, including me, is on our phone doing another thing. So we're not paying 100% to anything. Our attention is very much fragmented these days. So telling really good quality stories that bring people in and doing it quickly is something that we need to get better at. And not only do you need to get better at it, I will tell you, I need to get better at it. I think as a whole, if we're going to be on social media, this is a real key, is to tell really good quality stories. One of the biggest issues that I see that happens in social media for small businesses is they're trying to sell on every post. They're selling, selling, selling. So if you'll go to some of the influencers and kind of look, I'm gonna pick the makeup influencers because this is a kind of it's not something I watch very much, but I know a lot of people who watch it. I know a lot of women who watch. And here's the thing, they're really not selling the makeup. They're just showing people how to put it on, what style it is, all the kind of things. And then they tell them after the fact, this is the makeup I used. And then people start chatting in and say, oh, do they get it this color, that color? What's this? What's the blush? What's the whatever the other stuff is? And they just say, oh, this is what I used here, and this is what I used there. And so they run out and buy it. But not one time in the video, when they were doing the explainer video where they were showing it, did they sell the product. So that's a really good message for us as small business owners, that we need to show what we do and how we do it, maybe the results of what we do it, the before, during, and after of what we're doing. And then when people ask us questions about, oh, well, how did you do that? Or how did you get that clean? Or what did you use? Then you're able to go out and actually continue that story with them. So hopefully that makes sense, because I think that's a really good way to just kind of pull your audience in, if you will. And it falls right in line with educating as well. So educating an audience does not have to be laborious, okay? When you educate your audience, if you can figure out creative ways to do that, and again, storytelling is educating. That's another thing that goes hand in hand. Educating an audience should be pretty easy to do in most home service businesses. So, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, if you're a chimney sweep, if you're an electrician, HVAC, it just doesn't matter. Being able to show people what you do and along the way tell them what you're doing and why, and educating them on why they need something done. It's a fascinating thing when you look at it. We take for granted that we know all there is to know about our industry, and then nobody else really cares. So the problem with that is, as a consumer, as a homeowner, I want to know, why do I need to have my, brand new stove looked at every year? It's brand new. Well, I've got a mower, a lawnmower. Guess what I do every year? At the end of the season every year, I go get it tuned up. I go get it, I go get it ready for the winter, because I'm not going to use it till next spring. So I do those things because I know that's important to do. Well, it's the same thing on my stove. But until I bought a stove, you know what? I didn't know that. So we need to be educated as consumers as to why we need what you are providing us. Really, really important. So you've got people on Facebook that may not be looking at the moment for what you do, but if your feed comes across, an ad comes across, and all of a sudden they go, oh, wait a minute, I might need that, then you've got an opportunity to educate them. And that's a really good thing to do on social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Pinterest, whatever it is. And then the other thing, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm horrible at this. I'm horrible at it. Personally, I am not a big social media guy. I've said that before. I understand it. I know it should happen. All those times, I just don't like it. So with our company, we have other people that look at that. I've got other people that will engage with followers. But on my personal page, unless you send me a direct message, I'm just hardly ever on my personal page unless I have something to say, which is kind of rarely that I personally have anything to say. And mainly it's because I don't like to get in. I love talking about politics and religion, but I'm not going to do it on Facebook. I'm going to do it with people face to face. I mean, that's just because that's the way I'm wired and built. But the truth is, I'm just not interested in everybody knowing what I'm thinking and what I think and what they think and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just not good at this because I'm not on it enough. But if you are looking to use social media in your business, whether it's you or somebody that is in your business like I do, have somebody engage with those followers. Engage with people when they ask questions. Open it up so they can ask you questions. If they've got a problem, don't feel like you can't answer their problem openly and being transparent. The truth is, the more transparent you are, the better, because everybody else sees that. If they can't start their stove and you say, hey, what kind of stove you have? And it says, well, I've got a gas stove. It says, do you have a remote? Yeah, I got a remote. All right. So there's 2 places you change batteries. Change the batteries in your remote, change the batteries in your log set, and then try. Because that right there is one of the biggest things that people get chimney sweeps get called out for gas appliances. It's just batteries. So, if you can do that online and Facebook, people appreciate that. They're appreciative of what you're teaching them, and you're engaging with them. You're answering their questions. You're allowing them to ask right there in the feed. It's a great, great way to really just be on and engage with those people. So that's a great thing to do. Here's another thing that people don't think of, but I'm going to pause a minute. I'm going to see. There he is.
Hey.
How you doing?
Well, I'm good. I apologize. I had a client thing to deal with, and it was a phone call. So I didn't see your text message and had no idea what time it was, and just realized, oh, shoot, I'm supposed to be somewhere.
It's fine. We've kind of gone through the list. We're talking about now hosting contests and giveaways. One of the things that I will tell you that I think is really impactful is when you have things in your community that you may be able to buy tickets to. I know that we've had clients that have given away tickets to hockey games, giving away football tickets, giving away, all different kinds of things, baseball games, different events, tractor pulls. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. When you are active on Facebook and you have some of these giveaways and you're trying to get people to engage with you, this gives them a really good reason to. And so one of the biggest complaints that I hear about social is this: nobody ever gives me a like, nobody ever talks to me, nobody ever does any of that stuff. But here's the issue. If I go to a party and I sit in the corner and nobody knows me, nobody knows my name, they don't know what I do, and I just sit in the corner and I don't give anybody any reason to talk to me, and then if I leave that room and I'm upset because nobody came to talk to me, whose fault's that? Well, it's mine. It's the same thing on social media. You have to give people a reason to engage with you. You have to give them a reason. And so I tell people this all the time. One of the easiest ways to do that is contests and giveaways. Just an easy thing. You want to add anything to that, Carter?
Well, we'll say there are some legal things that you need to be aware with regard to contests and giveaways. The feds like to make sure that that's fair, that you're not using that to scam people. So be aware, both at the state and federal level, that if you run a contest or a giveaway, sometimes it depends on how much the contest is worth or the giveaway is worth. But sometimes it doesn't. So just be aware of those things. There are services that in just about every city that I can think of that, lawyers who can look over something for relatively inexpensively and help you make sure that you're following whatever local or state or national laws there are with regard to running your contest. Facebook will, if you're running it on Facebook, there are some things that you need to be aware of there as well. So, but in terms of like one of the things that you can do to build a list really quickly and get a lot of new people who have never really interacted with you before interacting with you and giving you their information, this is a phenomenal way of getting hundreds and sometimes even thousands of new people aware of you and interested in your services and giving you permission to market to them. So it's certainly worth doing. I mean, even if it's a big giveaway, even if the value of the thing is some $6,000 or $7,000, it can be a phenomenal way of building a list. So it's definitely worth looking at, but just be aware that you want to be compliant with whatever laws in your area and nationally that you need to comply with.
Yeah, and there are some things on the platforms themselves, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is you're on, that you do have rules that you have to follow in regards to contests and giveaways too. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I think the other thing that I would say is I have seen people direct on their Facebook, direct people to their website to sign up and for a giveaway as well. So they're not doing it directly on the platform. They're actually doing it off the platform. But again, Carter, you weren't here. There was a great article today talking about how since 2020 up till today, 80% less click-throughs to websites on Facebook, 60% less click-throughs on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's another thing to consider, which means that if you are doing ads, if you're doing things and you're trying to get people to your website, it may be more advantageous to keep them on Facebook through Messenger. You just have to make sure that you are watching Messenger. So, yeah, that's one of those things. So the next thing, and Carter, I'm going to let you take this, is to leverage user-generated content.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, I think, something that could be done fairly easily with regard to customers that are loyal to your brand. And this could be combined with one of the other strategies that we're talking about, such as contests and giveaways. But, it's not uncommon for a homeowner to be very proud of something new that they've done. You know, if they've just, let's say, built a new outdoor entertainment area with a fire pit and things like that, and they're really proud of how it looks, they may just on their own walk around with their camera and film their family enjoying it and post it up online because, hey, it's sort of a bragging thing, you know, a little bit of a self brag of look what we've done. You know, hopefully they tag you in that, but if not, and you find out that they've done it, then ask them if you can use it on your social media, just to show people, hey, this is one of our happy customers who is using the new thing that we did for them, and they're really loving it, and we can do this for you as well. So leveraging user-generated content is a brilliant way of letting other people do the legwork and do the, you know, a very authentic and you know, undiluted kind of content that you can use hopefully and repurpose in your own company, since it's related to your company.
Well, and you can also, if they give you a review and you ask them to post pictures of the thing that got finished, you know, you can always put that review and use that, and that is user-generated content too.
And it's far simpler too. I should have started with that instead of jumping right to video, but you know, I just recently saw one that I thought was so brilliant, and that's the reason I thought of video. But yeah, I mean, user-generated content, a review is user-generated content.
That's right.
And if they add a picture or something like that, then it just becomes all the better.
Yeah, yeah. So that's great. Now, here's a real interesting one about as far as trends go. I mean, when I saw this and I thought about this, I'm thinking about, you know, Travis and Taylor. I mean, who hasn't heard of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift? Not me, Taylor, but Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the football player, right?
Yeah, the football player and the singer, right?
I've heard something about it, but I don't know what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you hear something, not everybody even knows what's going on, and it's funny because it's like, I'm like, yeah, I think this thing was just planned so that NFL, you know, gets a boost from Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift gets a boost from the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't know. But my point is, some trends you can hop onto. I'm not sure that's the trend you could hop onto because you don't have. The first thing is you do not have license to use the likenesses of these people.
Yes.
Okay. So you do have to be careful with this. You just can't, you know, go somewhere and pull a picture down and use it because it's a trend. But you may see a trend that's, I don't know, you know, certain colors of the year, you know, the new color of the year that comes out. Every paint company has their color of the year that comes out. And I know that because my wife, Marilyn, is an interior designer and we get all that stuff and she shares all the time. This is the new color of the year. And I'm normally go, ooh, I wouldn't put that color in my house. So, but it's the new color, you know. But if you're a painter, if you do, you know, interiors of any type, even if it's something in the home, you know, like a stove or, you know, a standalone stove like I have is something that, you know, that needed to go with a certain color or whatever. You know, you may have something really cool that gives you that, you know, you could see that this thing would pop in front of that color. Anything like that could be a trend that you could think of that goes along with your business is something to you know, kind of think about and say, can I reasonably get on this trend and promote what we do, not necessarily sell. There's a difference between promoting what you do and selling. I'm going to go back to the influencer thing that I talked about with the makeup thing. Those influencers, they're not selling that product. Nobody can buy it from them. They're promoting the product. Now you're in a little bit different position because you can both promote and sell the products and services that you have. So, you know, but there's a promotion aspect and then there's a selling aspect. So promoting what you do and using trends and these kind of things, I think is perfectly acceptable. Now, here's the biggie, and this is another thing I'm really bad at. I'm really good at it with certain things, but when it comes to social media, because I don't really care about social media, is the consistency piece. And it's huge. It's like anything else. The more consistent you are, the more traction you're going to be. You're just going to have more. There are some times that we sit here. Y'all may not know this, but there's a little tracker that we have. We know how many people loved us and liked us and all that kind of stuff, and how many people are on live. And sometimes there's a big old goose egg. Just is. And then we find out later that they've been people that actually were on and listening to us live, but for whatever reason, it doesn't show on here. But if we just gave up because there was a goose egg up there and not consistently come here week after week after week, then the people that are both, look at us after the fact when they can. We got a lot of people that do this through our podcast. So, just because somebody can't make it here live doesn't mean that this isn't worth it for us and for our customers and potential customers. So maintaining that consistency is really important because people get used to you being there. They get used to knowing that, oh, I can just go see this or see that. So we have people that have Taco Tuesdays, and they show, they have Mexican food every Tuesday. And we have people that have, Wonderful Wednesdays and all different kind of deals on social, and they're consistent with it all the way through each week. And there are people that so enjoy that they just go on and see what's going on this week. And they may only touch it for, 2 to 5 minutes, but they came, they came and they saw, and it's worth doing, to get that, but you have to be consistent about certain things like that.
There's a component to this that's important to acknowledge too, and that's the algorithmic side of this. When you produce consistent content and the same person or people engage with it every single time you produce it, right? They'll stop and they'll watch it. Maybe they don't even watch the full thing, but they stop and they watch just a little piece of the video, or they scroll through and they pause long enough to read the little meme or the little statement or saying that you posted in your feed. Facebook's aware of that, and Facebook and Twitter as well. But I mean, let's just talk about Facebook. It's aware that this person, every single time that they are shown your content, they engage with it. They stop and they read it. They like it. They do something with it. So the likelihood of Facebook continuing to show your consistent content to that person is very high. There are certain content producers on Facebook that I have never followed. I've never, I don't have any way. I've never subscribed to anything that they've done on any other channels. I just simply, every time I see them in my feed, I, usually will click on the image or the first comment to read more of what they were talking about or something like that. There's almost always an engagement with this particular content creator. And it's amazing to me how few, I'm talking over the past 2 years, how few of their posts Google or Facebook has not shown me. It almost always shows me every single post, even though I'm not subscribed or haven't liked it or followed it. It just because it knows I engage with it, and so it continues to show it to me. So that's important as well. Consistency in that regard helps train the algorithm.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Carter, but not a week goes by that my wife doesn't go, geez, there's those guys again. And it's you and I in her feed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of the way that works. So analyze and adapt. I think this is important for you to just make sure that you're understanding where people are coming from, that you're looking at any kind of metrics that you have. And Facebook has metrics for all the things that you need. One of these days we'll do something and get either Alyssa or Bree or somebody on, and they can kind of walk through that. I think that might be something that people would be interested in seeing, is how do you actually get to the metrics? How do you look at it? What is important, what's not, those kind of things. But there are metrics back there that you need to be analyzing. You need to make sure that you understand them. And then if you need to change, just adapt. You may have to adapt to trends. You may have to adapt to different times. Your audience may change. Right now, your audience, I talk to HVAC guys and they're like, yeah, my main audience is people over 50. Well, in 15 years, the people that are 35 are going to be 50. And they think different, and they think about different things. They grew up in different times. The trends that they do are going to be different. So, if you think that way and is like, yeah, and you're always doing the over 50 today, you may be missing something in 10, 15 years. So you have to kind of look at that and make sure that you're adapting and moving and moving around with trends and whatnot.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah. So we're at a little bit over 30 minutes. We try to keep it relatively short these days. So just remember, we do have Spark Live, and it is released as a podcast. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podvine, or your favorite podcast player. And next week, we're going to have some fun talking about actually managing and really going out there and attempting to grow your social media presence. Now, there is a big difference between growing your social media presence and managing your social media presence. But in a lot of ways, they go hand in hand. So we're going to talk about that next week. And just want to thank you guys. Terry, thank you for the like. You and Chuck seem to be our regulars. Y'all are stalwart, and we appreciate it every single week that you guys show up and root us on. So thank you so much. We hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next week and talk about managing and growing a social media presence. See you guys.